What does your process break down to?
I'll show you
Okay.
a CPG product that I put together. These guys came to me, they wanted a consumer packaged good. So the first thing we did is a competitive audit. We looked at every single
Mhm.
snack that has cheesy deliciousness and we broke
Uh-huh.
down their pricing, what kind of location they were in the store. Some are
Yeah.
crackers, some are specialty food, some are
Yeah.
chips. We looked at price per ounce, which
Okay.
is huge. A lot of people don't think about that. We did an estimate of what their COGS would be. And then we
Hmm.
just started looking at what are their traits. Some are gluten free, some have a lot of calories, some have a lot of carbs, some have almost no carbs, some have a lot of protein. So that gives us a shape of what this market is because
Hmm.
some cheese snacks are selling as healthy snacks and some cheese snacks are
Right.
selling as just fun.
Yeah.
And then where do we want to fit in there? There were a couple things that were organic. So we thought, okay, there's an opportunity. A couple
Right.
more things were non-GMO. Non-GMO is a lot easier to do than organic. Then we found none of them were grass fed, which was interesting
Mhm.
because this product was grass fed. So it had an
Huh.
opportunity to stand out here. So that really
Right.
got us excited.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And then we looked at low carb, keto friendly. And then some cheeses are natural and some cheeses are oil with some chemicals.
Hmm.
So we looked at that too. So from there, we got into this analysis of grass fed, right? So grass fed beef, if it's grass fed and organic, it outsells everything. And even if it's just grass fed, it still commands a higher price in the market. And the
Hmm.
same went with butter and the same went with whey powder. Grass fed was really able to command a high price. So we got really excited about this because this
That's
product
really
could do
cool.
that. And there was nothing in the cheese snack
Wow.
sector. So we looked at everything and there's like low end mass market things that
Yeah.
just trash. Some are organic. So that stuff's like the better version, but there's nothing up here.
Wow.
So that was pretty eye opening. So
Right.
it's good to go into this work with your eyes open. So
Mhm.
doing this sort of analysis first is really important because a lot of founders, they really develop their pizza box before they have their pizza figured out. And to figure out your pizza, you got to get the crust, you got to get all the ingredients together.
Yeah.
It's smart to do this stuff. It helps you make better decisions moving forward.
Totally.
So we just wanted to create this dichotomy. There's an old way. It's quote unquote cheese. It's not really cheese. It's just
Mhm.
oily chemicals. It's got a lot of gluten and it's got a lot of chemical ingredients. And then
Right.
we got a new way. It's grass-fed artisan cheese. We use cassava flour, so it's gluten-free and it's still nice and crunchy, and everything is edible. So that gave us what we needed to do a nice overview of the trends in cheese
Right.
snacks because the whole category is growing like crazy. But then it also gave us a way to talk about each of the categories. So there's cheese only snacks, there's puffs, there's cracker type snacks, there's like fancy schmancy biscotti and biscuit stuff.
Right.
And then there's grass fed dairy, which just hasn't penetrated the snack market. So we decided we want to become the premium grass fed cheese, gluten free, satiating, delicious, nutritious, good for you, cheesy, crunchy snack, which sounds
Oh,
like a lot,
I love
but
it.
we wanted to pack it in so there was a lot to chew on. So that was our first phase of work.
Yeah.
So we told these guys, we're like, hey, look, this is a big project to take you from this idea
Yeah.
all the way down to a product that's ready to sell in stores. So
Right.
just did it phase by phase to see if they were interested to move
Right.
forward. Then we got into a full competitive audit.
Mm-hmm.
We literally looked at every single thing. So with every brand we're developing, it's we look at everything. So like for an author,
Yeah.
we would be looking at other books, other
Yeah.
publishers, the whole thing.
Do you have an example like this for a book?
No, honestly, books haven't had the kind of budget we need to do this.
Hmm.
Just this first phase is $30,000.
Wow.
And we
Yeah.
haven't even designed anything. So this was their snack. And we were like, okay, what if it's this size? What if it's this size? We were working with
Right.
the factory to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
But this is relevant to anything, any project. You got to figure out what are the brand attributes you want. So with this, there's mainstream snacks and there's luxury snacks. And then you can see all these triangles. These are different people on the team. So this is, we have Zoom calls and workshops and we move the arrows around depending on where people want to be.
Mm.
So you can see everyone on the team wanted to be more on the luxury side, not full on luxury, but
Right.
definitely not cheap mainstream. And then, and I also have notes what people were saying, but Do we want it to be all about being delicious? Cheez-Its, their only thing is that it tastes good. It's
Yeah.
salty fake cheese. And then there's
Right.
this thing it's air fried cheese basically.
Yeah.
It's low carb and it's totally nutritious. So we wanted to be somewhere in between, somewhere nice and balanced. Junk food without the junk, zero guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing was, do we want to talk about benefits? There's some brands like Who, the front, it's all benefits. This is for hardcore keto people.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
buy their chocolates. I like them.
yeah, it's the best stuff. That's what I eat
So
too.
good. Yeah.
And then there's brands that are all about the experience. It's just, it looks like a fish and your kids will eat it, you know?
Yeah.
So do we want to be more like a cheese or more like a cracker? So that's right in
Mhm.
between. And these are questions we have to ask to develop the brand that's in alignment with the whole
Mhm.
team. Terra
Right.
chips, super serious. Cheddar bunnies, super playful. How do we want to be? At this point, we didn't even know if we wanted to be a kids brand because it could have been a kid snack,
Mhm.
like full on
Right.
kid snack. And do we want to be a super alpha like this brand, or do we want to be
Yeah.
feminine and approachable and nourishing? We had, obviously, there was not a clear mandate here, but
Yeah.
it was how do we balance that?
Right.
And then kid snacks, grown up snacks. Do we want to be in a box? There's something fun about a box, and there's something cool about a bag.
Yeah.
This is also a Bolivian snack. Do we want to be this Bolivian ethnic food, or do we want to be like Cheez-Its
Yeah.
doesn't have a country. There's no, it's not like typically American. It's like a universal thing.
Right.
So then we get into what do our customers struggle with? So everyone's talking on the Zoom and I'm just typing up as many notes as I can.
Mm-hmm.
How do canapes help our customers win at life? We put together a bunch of that kind of stuff. Then what is it? So everyone's just spitballing what it is. What is it not? What is the ideal customer experience? Like just looking through the customer's eyes, what do we want them to feel? And the big thing that came out of that was this is highly addictive. You can't eat just one. And then what makes these things unique? And what kind of claims are we open to making? So once we had all that information, that gets boiled down into a brief. The big thing we wanted to do is we need to figure out a name for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
We had to define in simple terms what the product is, what's the brand about, what are the clear communication challenges the brand is facing,
Mm-hmm.
and then who are we trying to reach? And then what's the role for the communications? Communication can have lots of roles. Sometimes it's to educate, sometimes it's to excite, sometimes it's just to create awareness. The first thing we want to do is stimulate appetite. We want people to see this stuff and get hungry. And then we came up with some fake quotes like Elon Musk. What if he said, I don't make big decisions on an empty stomach? So when you're hungry and you don't have time for a full meal, this is a great
Mm-hmm.
snack to
I
get you
love that.
across the finish line. So, how does this category engage creatively and how can we challenge this? So, we need to make it clear this is about cheese. This is a grass fed cheese brand. It's not a snack, it's a real food and it's filling.
Mm-hmm.
So, from there, we start looking at where's this thing selling? So, if you're designing a book, like when every book I've done, I go hang out in the section of the bookstore where
Right.
the book is going to go. Because if all the books are blue, just make your book yellow. Instantly, you're standing
Right.
out.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Totally.
super, it's like sometimes really simple to say. You can see there's a look here. There's some really colorful things. There's some things with snacks on the front. This is where we'd be selling.
Mm-hmm.
And then we start looking at what else are they buying. So they walk in the store and here's other stuff they're purchasing. So we want to fit in with that. And we want to convey this kind of energy. Like it's bready, it's snacky, it's
Oh my
cheesy.
God, it was making me hungry.
So then we started getting into naming explorations because kunape, that's just what it is. And if you go to Bolivia and ask for a kunape, you'll get one of these cheese balls pretty much anywhere you go. It's everywhere. Again, we have our brief. I brought on a whole team of writers
Mm-hmm.
and we did some exercises like what are premium sounding words for cheese?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we got to artisan. And then we started looking at this word grazing, right? Because cows graze. But if you go on Google and just type in grazing, you
Mm-hmm.
get these boards. And this
Mm-hmm.
product would be perfect in there. So it just felt like a really natural
Right.
place to dig in. So I had a team of writers. We came up with a couple hundred names, and these are the ones that bubbled up to the top. So we had some that touched on like appetite issues, right? Ruin your appetite. I thought that was one of the funniest ones.
Yeah.
Grateful Grazers. This was like the on the go vibe. We had this kunape thing, which I didn't like any of these. Anyway, a lot of these are pretty fun, but at this point, it's not necessarily about choosing them. It's just about finding something where there's some alignment. And you can see a lot of people on the team were aligning around here at Grateful Grazers. So then we started, like, when you're building a big site, you want to wireframe it. And when you're building a package, you want to wireframe it too, because you don't want to get too deep in design. You just want to get the essential pieces on the page. So we're like, okay, we have this brand. The company name is Grateful Foods. And at first we were thinking we'll call them biscuit crisps because they're like little biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the flavor here, and then we have claims here. And then our big grass-fed thing called out. And then here's other ways to architect it.
Yeah.
So that helps us just get the shape of what this needs to be
Right.
without getting too deep into design.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you're in design, then you're looking at colors and executions
Right.
and stuff. It's not really a way to get crisp in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So then we got to something like this. This was like a back. What are the essentials for the back? And so that was that phase, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Then we had to get into more naming explorations, and there were some adjustments to the brief. And then we were looking at just the big naming conventions. So the brand here is Annie's, the product is Cheddar Bunnies, and the description is baked snack crackers.
Mm-hmm.
And then here, the brand is the product, just Parm Crisps, which is nice and clean. And description, 100% cheese snack right there.
Mm-hmm.
So then we looked at more names, even more names. And then we got to this thing, Grazers. What if we just called it Grazers?
Mm-hmm.
Then we started playing around with design,
Mm-hmm.
logos, different ways of structuring the thing. And then we put all this stuff side by side to see what felt best.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still trying to make a decision. We're trying different ways to do it. This was starting to feel good.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, let's just run with Grazers. We were all happy. This is our new brand name. But again, this is still internally. We haven't done the full legal review yet.
Yeah.
And then we're thinking, okay, the company will be called Grateful Kitchen Inc. Here's the structure of how it all works. Here's how we compare net weight, dimensions, pricing. And then we started moving into our next phase, right? And this, I had the founders come and visit me at Natural Products Expo West. This is a trade show where these kind of products sell.
Yeah.
And then we also did a market survey. So we surveyed, I think, about 40 people and just tried to see what they were responding to. So Grazers was right on top.
I like razors too.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good.
And then we also just wanted to get some, do people understand grass-fed dairy? Yes. Do you eat cheese? Yes. Are you familiar with cassava? Yes. I was surprised because I didn't know what it was before this project.
Yeah. I like.
So then we had to move from, okay, we really like this thing. We want to invest in legal and all that kind of stuff. So then we started moving into the trademark challenges. So I had a call with our lawyer. I have a great trademark attorney and he helps with all this kind of stuff. So grazers.com was taken. It was some kind of bacon thing. And then there was also graze.com, which was owned by Unilever. And you don't want to get into an IP fight with Unilever because they have $1 billion to just disappear. So we have to get creative around solutions. Grazers was great because it's one word, but there's tons of brands out there that are 2 words. So we just had to open up that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wanted to look at like Spanish names. There's all kinds of Spanish names: Siete, Gracias Madre, Doritos.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind, the team didn't want to be a Bolivian Spanish brand. We wanted to be
Right.
something more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So we just bought Gracias Grazers because it was available and it's a cool name. And I would have
Yeah.
been totally happy running forward with that. And then that's our trademark attorney. I stuck him on there. So we're like, okay, do we want to run with Gracias Grazers? And then the answer was no. So we had to keep looking: grass-fed grazers, prairie-fed grazers, free-range grazers. So we had to get back to the drawing board, look at a bunch of names again. And that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
Star grazing, that it almost ended up being that.
Oh God.
Star grazers,
Can't
daily
make
graze, goodness gracious, keep
I like
grazing. So
Gracias Racers the best, honestly.
do you see how all the arrows lined up on keep grazing?
Mm.
So these
I
are
like
all,
raisin.
yeah, these are all reflections from workshops,
Yeah,
and everyone was feeling keep grazing because it just
yeah.
had a nice energy to it.
And it's active.
Yeah. And then a lot of people liked Gracias Grazers, and we had the trademark. It was clear for trademark, and we own it. We were also liking this whole ruin your appetite thing, a little irreverent. Then we had a bunch of silly ones, just to shake it up.
Mm-hmm.
So we were looking at ruin your appetite, but then keep grazing passed. Like it went through IP and it looked good. So
I like keep grazing a lot.
good, because that's
Yeah.
what it became. Star,
Yeah. I
Star
like that
Grazer's
it's
passed.
active. Out of all of the names, it's the only one that's active. It tells the buyer to do an action.
I went down to Bolivia and visited the farms, and the Bolivia team came up to LA and visited the trade show. And we realized like they had learned a bunch of stuff coming here, and I learned a bunch of stuff coming there.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to not start over, but really take everything we'd learned and really integrate it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is a food product has to be primal, right? It's got to be sexy, delicious. The package has to be indulgent. And then there's the rational piece, right? The missions, the values, the health info. But there's tons of stuff out there that's selling purely on the primal level and has none of the rational stuff. Think about Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Nothing, no one rationally should eat there. We were getting ready to really dive into design. So we had some basic questions. Do we want to do one big thing, or do we want to do a handful? So everyone liked the handful. Do we want to have a window? Do we want to have a focal point? Do we want to have a color? Do we want to have texture? Do we want to be where the on a lot of brands the color is a an accent, and then in some brands the color is a dominating presence. Just having conversations around that kind of stuff, and then having conversations around claims and the types of claims we want to make. And then we had a conversation around what makes this product sexy, what makes it irresistible, fills your mouth, bready, everybody loves it. What does it satisfy? Healthy fats. So all of these conversations helped us get clear on what's inspiring us, what's making us happy, and how we want to move forward. But then we just wanted to get really clear on the problem. So food these days is being made by scientists instead of farmers, right? So
Mm-hmm.
most cheese is chemicals. Our cheese is super good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Problem, get away from factory fake cheese. Solution, get into regenerative family farms making real quality stuff. So our cows graze on natural grass 100% of the time. So it's good stuff. And then we start getting into the mission and the values. So then we started getting really deep into the logo. And then we also came up with this idea of the grass fed movement, because it's not just,
Oh, I like that.
yeah, it's not just about, yeah, it's grass fed, but there's more to it, like the health of the cows, the health of the farmers.
Yeah, I like that.
We need a hero image. So we took a lot of test photography on different plates to see what felt the most appropriate for the product.
I want one of those.
They're in stores.
I can't eat it. I can't have gluten or dairy.
Oh, really? Really? You can't have cassava?
No, nothing that grows underground.
Really?
Cassava is a root.
Got it. So then there's some initial shapes. This was the favorite. Then we
Mm-hmm.
looked at, okay, what are our claims? But yeah, that pretty much got us
Oh,
down the line. And I'll show you what it looks like now. So you can see this is keepgrazing.com.
it looks so good.
Yeah. So we got all of our product details in, we got our movement in, we got our packaging and everything together.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
You got that board.
And then look, you can get it on Amazon and Walmart now.
Nice.
And then we have our whole movement outlined explaining our story. This is real. I filmed this stuff. I was at the farm and these cows are treated like children. They're called by name.
Wow.
They don't eat any filler. They just eat grass. And
Yeah.
it's Bolivia. Bolivia is this amazing place on the planet where there's prairie year round because there's no snow. So these cows are always grazing. It's unreal.
Yeah.
So they got a little bit of the story, and it's the first and only grass-fed cheese snack. I went down there with my drone and filmed all this stuff. So yeah, it's moving. It's in stores. It's selling.
Wow. Which stores are they in? I'll buy some.
I think the easiest way to get is just online.
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's a store near you that has it, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Probably like
Um, but yeah, it was a massive transformation. These guys came to us with a notion. They said, "Hey, can we make a cheese snack for sale in America?" Yeah, you can. It just takes this. In this case, it took 9 months.
yeah.
And then we got it into stores. We got it in front of buyers. We got a sales team fired up, and we got it into a couple hundred stores to start, and then
Nice.
going.
That is really cool.